Welcome again, everyone. Bill and Jim here. We're doing this as a public podcast. As we mentioned during the week, we got absolutely bombarded in, I don't know what it was, 3-4 hours time. We got well over 300 questions. Got some nice, cool weather down here, Jim, and I understand you're about able to fry an egg on your the hood of your car up there.
Yeah, we've had a heat factor of 117 yesterday and over 100 now. And it took a real cold shower to make sure I was here and hopefully thinking correctly.
Yeah, and we're not even 80 degrees in South Texas. We've had rain, 4 inches of rain in the last, 24 hours or so.
I could take almost any kind of weather.
100 degrees every day.
I'm telling you, man, this is tough.
Well, maybe go down the hill and jump in the lake.
And jump in Candlewood Lake, you're actually come out looking like the Green Monster. Let me explain to our listeners. 4 of my air conditioners don't work. Not 1, but 4. Dead.
Well, they're not dead. They're just down on Freon.
Yeah, they're down on Freon, and they can't handle the type of heat I'm asking them to cool.
Well, we'll try to keep this to about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. We're going to do this kind of as a lightning round. Typically, we take 5, 6, 7 questions and go into them in depth. And what we're going to do here is try to do short answers because we got so many questions. Try to do some short answers and get to as many as we can. And Jim, if you get long-winded, I'm gonna buzz you off. You're gonna get gonged.
There's a lot of betting going on out there that it's never going to work.
All right. The first one. What is your thought, given that at any minute all could go poof, about our children buying houses? Would they not be better off taking a down payment, buying gold or silver, and hold it until it's all over?
When they're buying houses, you're speaking about mortgages. Most kids, okay? To have a mortgage right now is undesirable. Therefore, don't buy the house, have the gold. Rent if you can, or move in with the folks.
Renting, at this point, in my opinion, renting is the way to go.
Or move in with the folks.
Or exactly. You're seeing that moving in with the parents and the grandparents.
My problem is that they're all on the wrong side of the side.
I understand. All right, next one. If the commercials can continually and at will raid the gold and silver price by naked shorting, what will stop them from doing this forever?
The need of profit, the profit motive itself. When it turns, it will turn both commercially and publicly, physically and in paper, and nothing will be able to stop it. I agree with that. I think the physical market itself is what will turn the market. Yes.
And then the commercials cannot fight the physical market because they don't have the physical to deliver.
They don't have it to deliver, up she goes.
Exactly. Okay, next one. People have been expecting the Ponzi to collapse, but central banks continue to find ways to keep the music going. Why isn't it reasonable to believe that they'll just continue to develop ways to keep kicking the can and elevating the markets for several more years? I mean, the markets have been detached from fundamentals for many years now. Oh, and interesting, this came from I think, a Charles Schwab broker.
Okay. If you're an equity person, then you don't know anything else, and you've never been involved in gold, it's almost impossible to make the turn. The equity markets are up without fundamental backing. We're not looking at significant international and global expansion that would be necessary to have markets at new highs. Yes, they have been forced to these prices. Yes, the central banks have actually been buyers, but this is something that cannot go on forever because it's a musical chair game, and too many chairs are being pulled out right in front of your eyes. And you might not want to admit it, but we're right in the middle of it. We're not waiting for it to happen. It already has happened. You just don't realize it.
And I would add, there is a concept called reality.
Yeah, that happens on occasion.
Okay, next question. Is it safe to locate money in shares of gold-producing mining companies? In other words, they're asking, what about the mining industry?
Well, the mining industry is the gold industry, and the one mistake that the entire industry makes is they sell it as fast or faster than they can, in fact, even mine it. The gold companies are not, the paper gold companies are not true gold aficionados. They're just mining something they can sell, again, as fast as they mine it. Those companies that wake up to the fact that they're sitting on a mountain of wealth that is wildly beyond what their greatest dream is, will come out terrific winners. Like McEwen, for instance. And as more people realize this, the industry changes, and you're going to see advanced juniors like McEwen shoot directly into majors.
I guess my comment here would be, if you went back 100 years, 110 years, you would have seen the mining industry was basically like utilities.
Correct.
It was a fixed price of gold. And I think that's what you're going to see. We're going to get to a very high level for the price of gold. And rather than collapse back down, I think you're going to see a plateau. And I think that what now is viewed as the most risky industry in the world is going to again be viewed as similar to the utility industry.
Well, things are going to become very complicated when the price of gold reaches these highs, which both you and I know will absolutely occur. So the idea for the companies, if I might advise the industry, is keep your gold, don't sell it unless it's absolutely necessary in a non-bank, independent storage like a refinery. Incorporate outside of the U.S., maybe outside of North America, and you'll be entirely outside of the immediate system. When we have much more time to talk, we have to look at the complexity of $10,000 or $50,000 gold.
Can you imagine the looks you would be getting from CEOs and boards of directors of mining companies listening to that answer?
Well, it doesn't matter because I always got those looks. Nothing new.
Okay, next one. You and Jim have said in the past that $50,000 an ounce or even higher is a reasonable price for gold after a global reset. Others have mentioned $5,000 and $10,000. Is it possible there could be a series of gold pricing resets starting at $5,000 or $7,000 and eventually going up to your target or higher, depending upon how much fiat money floods the global financial system?
I think what's coming to our listeners, Bill, is more of an explosion type of event, something that happens on a Monday or Thursday or Tuesday or whatever, where you go to bed one night living in one world and wake up the next morning living in a very different world. I don't think it's going to go up in series. It's going to take one enormous shot. And the idea of market timing, a bolt of lightning going up, is it just isn't real. This is the rally you don't sell. This is the one you keep. It's already happened. It's not going to happen. Wake up, rub your eyes, and see Bill's next article that he wrote today.
I agree with that, Jim. I think once you see a seizure in the markets, you will see gold and silver go into hiding, and obtaining supply is going to be the problem.
Well, I was very, very impressed. Before I made this call, I thought I had heat stroke. I had ice cubes, ice all over me. Bill says take a cold shower. Did, and the reason why is I got to be here today because you must read Bill's article because it basically says it has already happened. Nobody realizes it or nobody cares. All of a sudden, somebody's going to care and realize it at the same time.
It has happened. The system, because of where interest rates are, the system is unfunded. It's underfunded. The insurance industry, the pension industry, they're gone. They've already benefited from interest rates coming down. If rates stay where they are, they can't dig out of the hole. They can't perform. They can't.
Major conundrum. They cannot use any tool to make anything happen, to change anything that's out there, and therefore it's here now, clear and present.
Right, and if interest rates go up, then their bond book blows up.
Yeah, you hear a big boom.
So, okay, next one, Jim. Can you discuss, and this is, I guess, 3 or 4 questions. I'll pick a couple of them. Can you discuss one or more of the following? The first one, Deutsche Bank market capitalization versus derivative book. I wrote an article on this one just this past week, that their total market cap is only $17 billion versus $75 trillion of a derivatives book. So you're looking at their derivatives are 375 times the size of their capitalization.
Very simple answer. The number you're quoting is the hypothetical value of the derivatives themselves, and most derivative guys throw it out in a basket, saying that's notional value. Why even waste your time? This reason: when bankruptcy occurs, notional value becomes real value, and that thing will blow up. What I think, if it's taken over and nationalized by the Germans will go broke.
Exactly. I was going to say that'll blow up the Bundesbank.
The Bundesbank, Germany, and the store selling cheese next to it.
And as long as we're on Germany, a follow-up question from this reader is discussing the possible exit from since the Brexit vote and Britain in the future exiting. What about Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Greece possibly exiting the EU?
When it comes apart, as it's begun to, the unwind will continue. That is the added weakness. If more were joining it with good balance sheets, that would be added strength. If those that are leaving with questionable balance sheets, then you can't expect the ones without a balance sheet to hold the currencies together. Unfortunately, the European Union is history.
Every man for himself. That's all I have to say.
Right now.
Next question. Jim Rickards has made a statement that September 30th, there's supposed to be a new money system unveiled for the world, and will send gold to $10,000 or more. Jim Willey has been talking about the same thing, with global countries gearing up to dethrone the dollar. What's your take on that, Jim?
My take is that this is not something that's going to be decided in the back room with cigars and smoke and elites with huge financial power. I think it's going to come right down on them, as well as now, and a few of them you can already see are definitively on the run. So, the whole idea that a reset is something that will be decided like a Bretton Woods agreement, no. The market is going to do the reset, and it's going to be one major explosion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if they did try to reset gold to $10,000 and they tried to dethrone the dollar, that's an ignition charge to the TNT. Everything blows up, and then everything will be reset to where the market decides it's reset after the smoke clears.
There's no other system out there. They've run out of options, Bill. And any time you start thinking of a virtual currency as being an option, you're whacked. It's
well,
simply, if it's got electricity, it's over.
On that later, too, on digital and virtual currencies.
Okay. Lovely idea. Unfortunately, hackable.
Right.
Depends on electricity. And God knows, I hope it doesn't depend on air conditioning. Okay, next one, short and sweet. Where is the safest place to go when this whole thing blows? They're referring to, physical location. It's tough to say because one thing you and I both know, both having lived outside, had homes outside of North America, is that this is a wonderful continent. Number two, when you go somewhere else, unless you speak the language and look like the next guy, they don't want you.
You can't blend in.
And you want to experience prejudice? You want to learn what that one's about? And get ready to move with your money. We have to move our money, but we can't move our bodies.
Well, I would add, obviously, not in or within, 15, 20 miles of a city.
Of course, the standard rules, wherever you are.
Yeah, you want to be out and away from potential mobs.
If you had stayed where you are, it's one of the most beautiful places in the world with great hope, to be a team of 50 guys chasing you over the mountains.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was our decision 5 years ago, was that when the banking system comes down, you got to understand, South and Central America are almost entirely dependent on the SWIFT system. They're entirely dependent on the U.S. dollar.
Absolutely.
So when the financial system goes, their financial system is going to lock up just as quickly as ours will.
And remember, there's no Parker game called the new system that somebody's hiding in a closet somewhere that they can pull out tomorrow and put into place. It doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Out of tools.
It's all on the run.
And a lot of big guys are on the run with it. If you sit back and quietly look at the candid statements that we've seen in the last 12 weeks.
Okay, next question. This is a fairly long question, but I'm just going to read the title. What prevents the U.S. from creating endless amounts of digital currency?
The value of the currency itself would go to poo-poo.
And the acceptance.
Basically, complex law in question, answered perfectly by very few words. You make more apples, apples become worthless. You got apples falling off every tree, everybody would stop eating apple pie.
Right, and if the apples are rotten, they won't be accepted.
No, there's no way they could print themselves into nirvana. We've already passed that point.
Jim, you and I have talked numerous times about mortgages being rewritten. This particular question is, if I have gold and owe like $9,000 or $10,000 in credit card debt, and I see gold go up enough, it's trading at $2,000, $3,000. Am I going to be able to pay my debt off with gold coins?
I think you're going to have an intermediary. Intermediary can be a market in daylight, or it can be a market it can be a black market. But for 2,500 years and more, there always was a market. Therefore, it's reasonable to consider there always will be a market. But you're not going to go with a piece of gold to your local banker and say, poof on my mortgage.
Yeah, that won't happen.
Intermediary, I mean someone willing to exchange that awful thing called cash, pay off an adjusted price of the mortgage, as exactly happened in the Weimar experience. Go back, study, read it, and get ready for it.
Yeah, and I would add, if there's a window to do that, and you can do it, you want to do it, then go ahead.
Now.
Exactly, now, while the system's up, while the system's running.
I'd say that one of the most important articles, and a simple article, and a concise and not long tome, is what Bill has written. And it speaks directly to that.
And this next question goes directly to it. What will happen to annuities and life insurance?
Goodbye, Charlie. The whole thesis upon which they're built has been torn apart by this outrageous bull market in every bond known to mankind. They can't pay what they're obligated to pay, what they've said they would pay, what they have to pay to exist. They're into investments now they should not be in. And whatever you're pushing and reach to get yield where there is none, you're headed straight down the sewer pipe.
Right, you're taking risk. And
not what they're supposed to do.
Here, Jim, is what you've been saying regarding derivatives. You asked the question, what is a contract worth that cannot perform?
Well, the Armageddon is for derivative traders and little ponies that haven't been fed too much. the end of the end of days has been handed to us by this new 1%. The crime they've committed is the greatest crime in human history. And the results are coming. It is now. Don't just listen. Stop chatting about it and go do something.
Yeah, and it's obvious in your face, and you can see it.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm gonna have to get a warehouse for my food and other supplies like toilet tissues.
A couple rooms filled with dog food.
Oh, absolutely. You got to take care of the boys.
Yeah, your boys will be well fed.
They will, definitely. It may not taste as good as what they get now, but they'll be well fed.
There you go. Okay, next one. What are the best banks to put your money into with all the bail-in laws?
But the bail-in laws are everywhere. Every
right.
bank.
And lastly, what are the absolute best currencies to keep cash other than gold?
Whatever is common to the local merchant, wherever you are. There is no better piece of paper. They're all screaming to the bottom.
I'm going to go back to what we've talked about for the last 2 or 3 weeks, Jim.
Yes.
The concept of buying silver, having it vaulted in a non-bank vault. There's your bank account. If the system is up and running, you can sell silver. You can use it. If the system's not up and running, your silver is just going to sit there quietly in the dark, and it'll still be silver on the other side when a system does get back up and running.
The amount of money I have in a bank account, I think they're going to throw me out of the bank. It's that little. What I know will protect my buying power is where I have everything. I'm not a better 2%, okay? I don't go for 20. It's either 100% right or it's 100% wrong, and I'll bet on it the way I feel, and I feel so concerned about the listeners because they know this, but so few have taken any forward steps to simply protect themselves. Gold and silver savings. Currency, ham sandwich, okay?
Currency is to spend.
Yep. And as fast as you can when it really starts.
Okay, next question. This is a really long question, and I'm just going to basically sum it up. They're asking, or they're starting off with the premise: you can't have all your money in silver and gold, so why not go out and buy or a couple or several houses and rent them out?
Are you buying these houses with borrowed money? If you're building up a more significant debt, it is so contrary to the fundamental reasoning of how to protect yourself that it really is walking on a razor's edge.
Well, Jim, let's assume that this reader's talking about buying houses with cash. And my answer to this is you're going to have a financial system that goes down. You're going to have people living in your property that have no way to pay you, and your property is going to depreciate or be depreciated by the people living in your house, using it, breaking stuff. The beginning of the question, the premise that you can't have all your money.
You know, the stock market, real estate market should marry each other.
And that's the other thing. The valuations on real estate.
The valuations right now in San Francisco and New York are Looney Tunes. I got news for you. In Sharon, Connecticut, they're Looney Tunes now.
And that's because of credit. Credit, houses are purchased and they are priced right now because of the overuse of credit.
Exactly, but it's not available to the average guy. So this is the one that takes out a goodly number of the 1%ers to become real people.
Okay, next question. We've both said in the past, this coming rally or the rally we're in right now is the one that we don't sell. Can you elaborate why?
Because when you sell something, you take something in exchange for it. And if what you're taking in exchange for it is whatever currency it's quoted in, whether that's in rubles or dollars or whatever, are you really sure you want to fall back into the frying pan? When, in fact, everything that we've suspected is in here, and there is no Superman out there, and this is the zombie apocalypse. Do you really want to go back into dollars and a week later say, oh, God, gold's up another 2,000, and the currency's buying power is in the trash can? I'm not saying the dollar can't be strong on the USDX. I'm saying its buying power is going straight into the toilet.
Well, or you could simply ask the reader, why did you buy gold in the first place? Did you buy gold because you wanted it to go up in dollars and you wanted more dollars, or did you buy gold to get out of the system?
Bill, 90% of our guys are speculators.
I think you're right, based on the questions we continually get.
Yeah, they don't realize that what they hold in their hand will protect their family or their family's family.
Well, gold and silver are money themselves.
And they're excited because somebody comes in and sells a year's production of paper in the first 3/10 of a second,
right?
With some manipulation in mind. Forget it. Okay, this is what will take care of you. No paper.
Speaking of that, Jim, that's what happened on Friday. There was 20,000 contracts, notional value, something like $5 billion. That's I don't know, 7% of global production was sold in 10 minutes. So that's why gold was up $15 and ended up down $5. That's
okay. Confessions of a manipulator. I wear a white hat only because I did that in reverse and made it go up. When the physical market takes over, that game is finished.
Yeah, because they're going to have to come with real gold.
Yeah,
or
real money.
Right.
Either the side. If it wasn't that it was funny money I was playing with, I never would have been accused of manipulating the world's gold market by the CFTC. That's why manipulation was a bad word.
Well, it's a non-existent word now.
Yeah, it don't matter. There's no rule of law. There is no ethics. What we have going on down. Just take a look at this election and make sure you don't have a big meal before.
As for the election, Jim, I've said several times, it doesn't matter who you vote for, it matters who counts the votes.
Yeah, but there are practical ways out there that it could either be nullified or not even exist.
I think we have a question on that later, and if I don't get to it, we'll finish with it.
Got it.
Because I kind of remember the question. Next question is, after the 1933 gold confiscation, were we basically on a silver standard at that point? Did people get silver in exchange?
Well, the first thing is they didn't get silver in exchange; they got dollars in exchange.
Right.
Okay. And what they were paid, you had to look back at it in the rearview mirror as gold moved up. So the great question of confiscation is the greatest recommendation for a non-banking international entity,
right?
Holding your wealth.
Yeah, and we were not on a silver standard. We had a silver coin.
The next standard we went on to was Nixon, and that standard is also coming apart, called petrodollars.
Right.
That's why when you look out there, you think there's something in a closet called oopsie doopsie dollars. I'll put it out, and there we got a new system. There is no new system. I even think Nixon did what he did by mistake.
Okay, double question here. The first part refers to what we were talking about before. What will happen to the U.S. dollar after the Yuan inclusion in the SDR October 1st? The second part, a nervous reader, obviously. Do you think that gold bottomed December in 2015 at 10,050, or is it possible to have another leg down below 1,000 if we get a deflation?
Bottom line to me is, what difference does it make? Okay? I don't think that's going to happen, but that's a personal preference. prejudiced. But if gold is going to do what we believe it's going to do, and it ends up at the prices in areas that we've suggested, what's the difference if you paid $800 or $1,600 or $1,900? See, that's a speculator.
Right. No, there's no difference at all as long as you have it.
None whatsoever. And if you want to speculate, do it where there's some real action. Go into the edibles.
What was I forget what the first part of the yuan with what's going to happen with the dollar?
Okay, I'm sorry.
After the inclusion of the yuan in the SDR.
Every step forward for the yuan is a step backwards for the dollar.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, nobody applies to become a reserve currency. It simply happens. It is a choice made by multiple central banks as to what they want to hold becomes, by definition, the reserve currency. But if you go out and try and figure out what steps do you take to get there, there are no steps. It happens economically. It happens socially. It happens politically. It happens according to the strength of your armies.
And it is happening politically.
Yes, it is.
The U.S. is just dirtying their hands all over the world, doing just really ridiculous.
And the final thing is reputation of management. And reputation of management right now is not running too high. Maybe we don't have any.
Right. Yeah, it's a bus with no driver.
Yeah. Somebody would be better than nobody, but I can tell you there are somebodies out there that would be worse.
Okay, next question. Wanted to reconfirm that we think DRS or DRS minor ownership is as good as having the physical certificates. And the second part to the question, and is having half of one's physical stored in Singapore or another place outside of the U.S. and the other half in one's own possession, is that still a good idea?
Well, let's start at the last and end up at the first. Diversification in where you store items is is the correct approach to take.
Right.
And the two questions you ask is inside or outside. If you ask outside, you're asking what outside is better than the other, and it's got a very strange answer to it. Singapore is very neutral, so in political sense that would be nice, but it is in the final outcome of the Third World War, which is cyberspace and financial, not boots on the ground, who wins, and that's where you should have some of your money.
I would only add you should only have in your possession what you're willing to lose.
Yeah,
what you're willing to give up.
Yeah, look what's going on right now.
Stick a gun to your wife's head or your child's head.
Yeah.
How much are you willing to?
Exactly. You do not keep that much money around that you're not willing to die for. If somebody's going to shoot you, you give it to them. So that's how much you keep it around. And if that's $1, get it all out.
And DRS versus certificate form?
I believe all of the shares you hold are better off held in certificate form, especially if they're non-North American.
Just don't lose the shares.
Oh, if you lose your car keys a lot, or if you're above 75 and haven't done enough exercise, be careful.
Yeah, don't lose the shares. I got 95% of the shares out of my house prior to my fire, but I can tell you that 5% was quite expensive, and had I not worked at and run a brokerage office and had a contact there, my old secretary, to be able to do it all, I'd probably still be working on it 5 years later.
Well, that's why they call you Smoky Bill. Man's hat was on fire, I heard.
They all were.
Okay.
Except for the one I was wearing. Oh, this question goes back to Singapore. How could assets sitting in Singapore be safe if war with China breaks out and they take over the island, especially with U.S. accounts?
Only if they win.
When SHTF, how can you believe you'll be able to access your account?
You'll probably be using the non-U.S. SWIFT system that's been put together, that does exist and is now working very actively by the BRICS. So as need shows itself, the mechanics and machinery to fit that need arise because of entrepreneurialism, which is in all our hearts, in all nations. So the bottom line is there will be a way, there is a way, and there are competitive ways.
Okay, let's do just a couple, three more. If the world's financial system goes poof, will industrial demand for silver also go away? In what magnitude might this affect the demand for silver?
It's always been a problem that I've had, except that silver seems to be substituted, has a good record in substitution, meaning that it is a lower price catalyst than others. So the level of industrial usage is clearly part of the equation. But so far, so good. It's gotten bigger, not smaller. If we went into a dire recession everywhere, I think that you'll be looking at the poor man's gold. And I think that because of that, and because of the physical shortage, the price will not only maintain itself, but probably maintain its leadership.
Well, it's interesting that this question is asked now, because I read something this past week where investment demand for gold just recently is now surpassing jewelry. And I know that's talking about gold, it's not talking about silver. I would answer this question a little differently by saying that, going back to what I was just talking about, the investment demand, you've got so much paper out there that's going to be looking for a safe haven, something that's real. I think industrial demand would be a pimple on that elephant's butt.
I would take a look at who goes into silver. Okay, you'll find more of the 1% than you'll find going into gold. For some reason, they prefer silver.
And one more question. It seems people are a lot of the readers are definitely nervous about silver. If there is a October political surprise, will silver drop, and where might the bottom be found?
Well, if we're talking about October, we're talking about some pretty heavy stuff. And if it's along the lines of a very listened to advisor, it should be receiving a benefit at that time, as will gold.
And as an add-on, this next question is saying all three stock markets in the U.S. have recently made new highs. If we have a market crash, is that going to crash gold and silver like it did in 2008?
That always depends on what makes a crash happen and what the reaction to it is from your central banks. And my opinion is the market will probably surprise you because it's a Nintendo game. And there's plenty of shares around, a lot more than there are ounces of gold or ounces of silver. How about they all go up? The market then breaks. Silver reacts, gold goes sideways.
I think they're just going to pull the plug, myself.
Well, they're certainly working hard. Somebody, you should give a telephone call and tell them not to be wasting all that money all day.
I mean, we saw it with China last summer, just about a year ago. They closed their market two or three times, and they actually closed it all day I think it was closed all day one day, and then, of course, the U.S. couldn't get the market open, allegedly because of a computer glitch.
Well, if they had been up to the level now that they are, willing just to buy common shares that had a money printing friend, they wouldn't have closed out of China.
Right, there would have been no glitch.
Yeah, so you could expect them to burn the barn down to try and keep things together, only making the explosion catastrophic. And this is an apocalypse, both financially, spiritually, and every other way. Just take a look at the headlines. How about our hackers giving us more news than our newspapers?
Right, and how about the newspapers trying to suppress the news of the hackers?
The whole thing's a rig. That's called a Potemkin City. It's being built out of cardboard. No, it's not going to be around forever. Don't even think that. And,
Jim, I got at least a dozen questions regarding Bitcoin, BitGold. What do you think?
That's gold for the techies. Okay, we have an entire new mindset amongst those that are 40, 30, 20 now. And, of course, they see no problem with something being Internet-based. The whole problem with Bitcoin is being Internet-based. The thesis is weak. That doesn't mean they can't run it all over in price. But if you decide to take a significant amount of what you've worked for all your life and turn it into a cyberspace skeleton, you can get what you deserve.
Right. You could see it go up. You could see it go down. You could see your exchange get hacked, like the one a couple of weeks ago, and it looks like balances are going to be bailed in, and people are going to lose 36% of their Bitcoin.
Well, again, this is solid investment material for techies.
I must be getting old, Jim, because I in no way, shape, or form, I don't see it. I mean, I look at it.
Well, they don't see our way either, Bill. They don't see our way either, okay?
But, Jim, just from a common sense standpoint,
when you have an election, and people are dropping dead attached towards the candidate, and nobody gets excited, tell me how the techie's going to wake up to the fact that technology can't be a currency.
Well, and they can shut you off from your wealth.
Well, all we need is one of those pulse bombs that wipes the mind out of every computer.
Right. But I'm thinking from the standpoint of a digital currency, and, let's look at this from a biblical standpoint, the mark of the beast. Everyone has to have the mark of the beast to spend. I'd
say both ways. I'd say the answer is that this is the battle between light and darkness, and it's very hard to get darkness to understand light or the other way around. This is it.
And why put yourself in a position where you could be shut off from your funds?
Because you don't believe that any such thing could possibly ever occur to your darling. All right? They're in love. And love, love has no reason.
Well, Jim, that just about does it for today. I got to tell you, I'm really proud of you. I told you before the call, if you started to get long-winded, I was going to buzz in and hit you like the Gong Show and say, next question.
Hey, listen, I know you got a black belt. I'm not messing with you.
But okay? You zipped through everything, and I don't have any idea how many questions we did, maybe 20, 25 questions, not really sure.
If we've only done that, let's take an extra day and bring us down to next weekend and discussing things in general and knocking these questions out, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, Bill.
Well,
and thank you very much.
I
love what we do. I love weekend. And
you have a great weekend.
My God, it's hot here. I'll see you guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.